Good morning and welcome to Inside Running on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Magnificio races to the lead, getting through Waterman's Bay. Magnificio narrowly from Waterman's Bay.
Our team will evaluate each race, interview leading contenders and update Tab Touch markets.
But now Delicacy, here she comes. Delicacy under the 59 went to Neverland and Real Love Dark Musket. It's Delicacy against the inside. Sublime, brilliant, greatness in the cup.
We trust you will enjoy this edition of Inside Running. Now, over to the team for their look at today's meeting.
Fine, sunny, 32 in Perth, but we're racing at Pinjarra today, where it is also fine, sunny and 32, and some east to south easterly winds at the moment in the metro area. We're sitting at 22.5 degrees as we commence Inside Running, led by Darren McAullay. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Matty McDermott, and a very good morning, everyone. Nice to have your company too, as this smorgasbord of race meetings continues on, where, as Matt has touched upon, Pinjarra Park today with the Mandurah Cup Self-Storage Mandurah Cup as the feature event on the program. Beautiful weather conditions down there as well. 32, the expected forecast top temperature. We go from Scarpside on Boxing Day and we come back onto the shorter course circuit for this afternoon's 8-race program. Scott Embry, Michael Heaton are with us in the studios of Tab Radio Racing and Sport to discuss this meeting. Good morning to both of you. And on a meeting where we charge on in once again that sadly has been robbed of some appeal, with some significant scratchings of horses of the calibre of Another Strike and Janny and Ain't So Bad, all featuring in the markets in their respective races.
And the lucky chip was on top for me and for Michael in the last as well, so plenty. In fact, Louis Luciani's ruined my morning, Mac. I was so bullish today on Another Strike, but in 24 hours' time we'll go down to Bunbury. Not quite as confident down there. I actually thought it was a tougher race tomorrow than what he was in today. But anyway, we march on. What the scratchings have done is narrowed down a lot of races. There's actually quite a few odds-on pops today that probably people are looking at thinking, do they even deserve to be odds-on? The one I'm talking about now mainly is the shortest price favourite of the day being our Rocky Bay, and how well is he actually going?
Well, not that well in my view.
No, but at the same time, he strikes a very, very winnable race.
He certainly does there too. If we can just change direction. Final field for the Perth Cup coming up on Wednesday. And how does it sit there with you, the quality of it? A final field of 15 declared for it, with a couple of, I think, very interesting additions to the race that have come later on in this spring and summer racing period.
They certainly have. The arrival of Youngwerther and Serpentine opens up that race, brings a lot of intrigue and makes it each way the field. Currently fixed odds favourite, Sentimental Hero at $6. So $6 the field in the Cup, and it also means that Damien Lane's here taking a nice book of rides, and so is Chad Schofield, and they're going to spread themselves across those entire meetings. So all of a sudden you get the element of intrigue that they bring as well. But I must admit, Mac, we'll talk about the Perth Cup quite a lot on Wednesday morning, but the more and more I look at it and the more and more I've been thinking about it over the last 10, 12 days, I loved the last couple of efforts of Sentimental Hero. I thought he was great in the ATA.
I can't recall a horse for a few years at least that has now got such bullish appeal about it. Every person that you speak to wants to be tipping the same horse in the Cup. I thought it was a little bit deeper than that, and I think the market reflects it.
Yeah, I thought it was quite an open race. Morning, boys, morning, listeners. Looking forward to the Cup on Wednesday. I think the weights have favoured Sentimental Hero now as well, with Numerian coming out, of course. There's that slight shift to the handicapping of the race, and now Diamond Scene carries a half kilo more than Sentimental Hero, who, by all due respect, should have beaten Diamond Scene the other day, and now gets a half kilo on him. So I think that's probably where the air of confidence from a lot of people come. But it's still some really nice horses engaged there, and the East Coasters, as you mentioned, Mac, they bring a lot of intrigue to this field.
How will it stand with the forecast there for Wednesday's Cup meeting, do you think, with these interstaters? 37 degrees is the forecast top. Some had been predicting that it could have been a lot hotter, and there was some discussion there that the meeting would be looked at, but it was very quickly dismissed when they saw the weather forecast. 37.
38 on my app for Wednesday, so that'll be interesting. If it does go any more or increase any more, could we see a morning meeting?
On New Year's Day, that's a lot of hangovers.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can stay at 38 or below.
Well, look, I think Bomb up until last night had it at 37, so I'd be happy to stay at 37 and leave it there if you can, please. Anybody. Let's run through those changes officially for the meeting. Fine Good 4 and the Rail True 32, that top, as we already have indicated. And in the opening event today at 8 minutes after 1 o'clock, the SBS Computers Handicap over 1300. It's a field of 8, no changes there out of the opener. To race number 2 on the program, the Batteries and More maiden over 1300. Put a pencil through 10, Quick Cookie. Race 2, number 10 comes out here. In the third, the Bridgetown Jigsaw Gallery handicap over 1,200 metres. We've touched upon that scratching of another strike. It's saved for another day, tomorrow, down in Bunbury. Race 3, number 2. To race number 4, the Country Comfort handicap over 2,000 metres, and the emergencies aren't required there. They've not gained a run either, or all of the above. Serve Point, Gone Drinkin', heaps of moolah in lace, 15, 16, 17 and 18. To race 5, the Stable Affairs handicap over 1,200. The important scratching of the Inform Ain't So Bad, race 5, number 10. To race 6, the Wignall's Wines handicap over 1,400. And this is devoid of any changes, race 6. Race 7 is the feature, the Barragup Self-Storage Mandurah Cup over 1,400. And Janny number 7, along with 8, Madame Magic, both come out there. So one was around the $4.85 mark, the other just touching doubles there, Janny, Madame Magic. And nonetheless, important scratchings. And the final race for the day, the Tucky's Hardware handicap. And here, as Scott touched upon there, his early tip for the race, the Lucky Chip, won't be going there either today. Race 8 at 5:33, number 9, the Lucky Chip, has been withdrawn. We'll take a break here on Inside Running. We're previewing Pinjarra Park racing action today, and we'll be back with the thoughts of Michael Heaton and Scott Embry right on the other side of this. A lot of racing around, a lot of content around. I happened to stumble across the new doco on Damien Oliver last night, The Home Straight. If you get the chance to have a look at that, boys, and to our listeners out there at some stage on the 7 network, do yourself a favour. As the famous man in the hat once said, it is an absolute ripper. And it details the final chapter of Ollie's illustrious career, which ended so incredibly here in Perth back just over 12 months ago, and some of the vision, the insight, the interviews leading up to it and around that are absolutely marvellous. It's a documentary here that will be absolutely watched by all and sundry sport enthusiasts alike about one of the great sportsmen of this country. So that has just been released, and as I say, Big Red and Scotty stumbled across it late last night after getting home from Geraldton, but worth staying up very late to watch. So hopefully we get to see that again at a more reasonable time of the day.
I'll pop it on the to-do list. Try and find that.
Probably on one of the 7 apps there that you can watch. Of course, 7 Plus once again. We're going very strong there at the moment too, and a big coverage, and there's certainly a lot of ground being covered during the week, hasn't there, from that fabulous Boxing Day card. There were crowds everywhere, and yesterday at Geraldton too, if we can just touch upon maybe some of the crowds that have been going to these country meetings too. We had Esperance on Boxing Day, we had Albany as well, big card there, Pinjarra.
Great crowds at both of those places.
Yeah, for sure. And yesterday in Geraldton, well, there was almost a Cup Day crowd, a feel about it there, and a lot of young people getting along, and they're enjoying the social aspect as much as the racing.
I think the number at Albany was over 1,500.
Yeah, 1,700 or 1,800, I think Craig Morrison sent through. But post-Christmas racing always gets really well supported, doesn't it, everywhere?
We've been around the same number, I think, yesterday too at Utakara. Yeah. So well done. All the clubs are doing well at the moment, and people are enjoying the very best of racing out now, racing jurisdictions in the country areas.
Bunbury tomorrow?
Yep. Again. What are we there for the 3rd time in about a week?
You'll need a little freshen up before the Cup, Cobb. Quiet Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, no, we'll toil through. Thanks, Big Red. Let's have a look at the market now for the opening event on the card at 8 minutes after 1 o'clock, the SBS Computers Handicap 2, and it's a battle between the Fernies, the father and the son. Pete and Luke have got Sunshine Tape at your service, the 2 horses that feature prominently in the market here, Matt.
And Newington Boy from triple figures into 71, 480 to 440 at your service. Sunshine Tape for $1.85, did touch $2.35. Lipstick Jungle's at $9. 5 to 5.50. Pingers, Prove Me Wrong's at 7, in from 8.50. 61 Salsa Smash, and at $26 Alabama Elegance.
Okay, Sunshine Tafe on the 7 days here, boys. Hasn't had much luck at all recently, the filly. Looks a great race there for her to bounce back into the winners list, you would have to think there, given the fact that behind At Your Service, who of course is her danger there today, she was dead set unlucky, and then covered a fair bit of ground behind Daytona Pete, who's racing very well also right at the moment.
Very average race this, let's be frank. There's 4 Class 1 gallopers and 4 maidens racing around here, and I thought the obvious form reference was that race that was won by At Your Service on the 4th of December. And if you watch that replay, you probably sell yourself on the fact that if Sunshine Tafe gets the same run as At Your Service, she probably goes on by. So with the 1 kilo weight swing and a better run in transit today, I think Sunshine Tafe can break through for what is a very deserved victory. She was huge last week, 3 deep the trip behind Daytona Pete, in a race that was dominated close handy to the speed. She got flushed wide. I like the backup. I like the fact that she is into a much weaker race here today. 3 for me, Sunshine Tafe. 2 At Your Service. Shouldn't do any work from barrier number 1. Tracks up in behind what is going to be likely a very moderate and probably weak tempo. 4 Lipstick Jungle, 1 and maiden handicap at Narrogin, but showed a good turn of foot that day and wasn't too bad behind Duke of Wellington, but in a race where there was only a length and a half first to last, so a bit of a query on the form. And 5 Pingers, who won first up over 1,000 at Albany, toiled away well, second up behind Rissoles, and then was fair enough to the line last start behind the well-supported Housewife. 3, 2, 4, 5.
Okay, it looks as though they could be a very popular set of numbers, Michael.
Yes, same exacta for me. Sunshine Tafe, a fast run race last week too. Really tough effort, 3 deep from At Your Service, going well. I put Pingers in for 3rd though. Has been good at all 3 runs, his preparation, and it looks like CJP has chosen to ride this horse over some others. And I threw in Prove Me Wrong in for 4th first up. Struck wet tracks in the debut preparation last prep, and I thought ran okay, could play a part first up. 3, 2, 5 and 6.
Don't read much into the trial then?
Not really. I think there was a was that the loose horse trial? I think there was, so that I'm pretty sure that you can draw a line through that one.
Beaten 19 lengths but running on.
Well, there were a lot of horses that were eased out of it.
That's a fair assessment.
That's not a bad assessment.
They were eased out of it.
Yeah. 3, 2, 5 and 4 there. I don't think we need to be rocket scientists to work out the opening race for the day. They are going to be the ones. Sunshine Tafe, unanimous from At Your Service. Pingers, Lipstick Jungle. Lock them and load them if you can, please, over there, Matty.
All right, Scott is 3, 2, 4, 5. Mick is 3, 2, 5, 6. Mac is 3, 2, 5 and 4. Now we go to race number 2 at 144. This is the Batteries and More maiden over 1,300. And with 10 out, Snipper Genders at 126.17. Superior Kingdom, Casino Royale at $16. Viva Marconi at $8.50. 16 for Long Wait. She's Perfection, $3.10 into $2. Lunch in Paris is out to 4 from $2.90. Out to 12, another Gosha. Lightning McQueen is at 34 and down to Riveting Rosie at $10 in from 11.
Well, trainer Dan Morton holds the key to this race, a race which doesn't contain many chances. I think it's fair to say on form, She's Perfection's the more popular of the pair. She's Perfection, 3.10 into even money thereabouts, and Lunch in Paris just pushing on out slightly. It's the one, though, that has had the benefit of a run when placed a sheen. She's Perfection having her 8th start and has yet to be placed, albeit did go through the Phillies series back in the autumn there, culminating in her run in the Oaks. Michael, your thoughts?
I'm keen on She's Perfection here. Clearly no price, but it's probably a theme for me throughout the day. I don't think there's a huge amount of value throughout the meeting outside of a couple of races. I just thought this was a really thin field. Really liked the trial of She's Perfection. She was unlucky not to finish a lot closer in the WA Oaks. She was held up at different stages, still only beaten 2.5 lengths by Own the Queen. Clearly that's a standout form reference. She's a relation to was it a Group 1 winner that's since sold for $3 or $4 million. So she's bred in the purple as well, and off the back of that trial in such a thin race, I thought that she would be extremely hard to beat, Scott.
I agree in the sense that she went through some of those Phillies features and looked really good over the staying trips, but at the same time, she made her debut in a 1,500-metre maiden, got beaten 4, went to a 1,400-metre maiden, got beaten 9, then went to a midweeker, got beaten 3 at 150 to 1.
I would like to have seen her at least be placed in a race at this stage of her career.
I thought you were taking shorts about her, but I think the biggest key to what Michael's just assessed is it's an awfully weak race.
It certainly is there too. Like Lunch in Paris is second up. It's had the benefit of that run to, as I say, Oisin. And I don't know if I've got that higher rating on Lunch in Paris, to be quite honest.
No, I don't even have Lunch in Paris second. I didn't like that race whatsoever, that Oisin race. It was ugly. The Lunch in Paris was 3 wide with cover and barely got over the horse. That was 3 wide without cover. I think it was the stablemate Ranix. It took the entire straight to get over it in what was just an ugly, poor race.
I don't mind Ranix as a horse, though, and I don't mind Oisin as a horse either. I think in time they're going to win their share of races in the right grade.
Potentially, I just don't really like that as a form reference. So I was, happy enough to be with She's Perfection, and I actually thought...
It's a race, though, without... much in terms of form references, is there? Not unless you're sort of hanging your hat on a horse like Paul Roberts's mare, another Gosha, who I thought finished off okay to Money Trees, but, can you trust that form?
Oh, yes, I think you can. Well, Santanova came out of that race and dominated at her next start.
And goes around again tomorrow.
I actually had another Gosha in as my second selection. I think it's a pretty generous price. If you don't like the $2 of She's Perfection, perhaps another Gosha's the each-way play. Copped a heavy bump on jumping that day and was squeezed and held between runners on straightening and still finished off okay. It still looks really green as well, but an extra 100 metres here I thought would be a tick for that horse, but I'm expecting She's Perfection to be winning first up.
I'll go the other way, but not without a push, or I should say without a push. I'm not convinced that Lunch in Paris is much good. I'm not convinced that She's Perfection deserves to be even money. I then go to another Gosha, and I'll put the 11 Riveting Rosie in there out of the trials, but gee, it's not a great race. 7, 6, 8, 11.
No, it's not. I'm concerned about all of the form around them, but I finished up going for the fact that Lunch in Paris was placed first up, has had the benefit of a run. Where it gets to here, how the map unfolds in the race remains to be seen there with me. I'm going 7, but hardly with any confidence over 6. And then 8, another Gosha, I think still holds appeal at the value turn. If there is to be a knockout type of a result in it, it could well be another Gosha. And I'll include, only for the fact that the blinkers are going on, Jimmy Taylor's Viva Marconi, who it trolled up all right before its first up run, beaten 6 lengths behind At Your Service. And it is back into a very thin maiden with those shades this afternoon. So we're clutching at straws, but you need to have 4 in your selections, apparently.
The half-brother to Clairvoyance.
6, 8, 7 and 4 for me, respectfully, a pretty poor race. So for that reason, I think She's Perfection will be really hard to beat, has more upside. From another Gosha, looks the value. Lunch in Paris, I'm just not convinced on that run and that race first up. And Viva Marconi, similarly, I think ridden for speed today in a race without much pace, could be an improver with the shades on 6, 8, 7 and 4.
Okay, 7, 6, 8, 4 there for the record. Thanks, Matty.
Scott is with 7, Lunch in Paris 6, 8 and 11. Mick's gone 6, 8, 7 and 4. Darren has gone 7, 6, 8 and 4. We're going now to race number 3 at 2:24. The Bridgetown Jigsaw Gallery handicap over 1,200 without number 2 and into 8.50 Famous Journey into $5 Bleecker Street. Zangief is at 17, 360 into 160 Our Rocky Babe, Inshallah 23, 34 Mega Reward, 12 for Impossible Dream, 31 Pretty Divine and Thermosphere Lad at 17.
Well, Scott, you touched upon the money that came earlier when we were just waxing lyrical about the meeting there and maybe some of the questionable form. And this is one horse here that you landed on, Our Rocky Bay. It is coming back into a 1,200, but it does need to lift, and we're getting right down at the bottom end of the market, I would think. In fact, well, we've gone beyond that for the horse, who hasn't really fired much despite the first up run to Norwich, which was good, but since then we've seen not much whatsoever.
No, it's flattened my day. I thought another strike was a filthy moral, I'll be honest.
No, I'm with you. I thought it was an absolute good thing for the day, another strike, but we've got to wait for another day, it seems. So, it's difficult to default back because I finished up landing on one who's got the absolute shutters in the market. Well, it did at least initially. Might have found a few friends now. That scratching has come through, and that's Impossible Dream, because I just found it impossible to be tipping our Rocky Bay, what we've been seeing. And when it gets down to, your price assessment of it, he should be longer than this. But the market's bullish, and it was with another strike in.
It certainly was. He was very hard from 350 into about 205 as soon as the markets opened. Now, as you say, the first up run behind Norwich looks better now, with Norwich dragging that entire field forward with 2 subsequent wins. Then he parked on the pace in an extremely fast run race behind Miss Sky High, where the leaders folded up quite badly. Got flushed 3 deep at the 600 in another race where Norwich broke them open, beat more than half of them home. And then last week, or a fortnight ago, was the horse that was able to go straight past the leader on straightening, and then they were all swamped by Papavero Princess and Kalima and those horses, Red Tory down the outside.
So I suppose, in fairness to him, they've all been white-hot run races, haven't they? There's just been absolute speed everywhere.
Yeah, there has. And just to play devil's advocate, I'm not proposing him as a bet, because I think at $1.60 he's far too short, but he's raced in high grade at 10 of his last 11 starts. The start that was not in high grade was in this class at this distance, and he ran second to Norwich. So he has superior form to every other runner, and whilst he's a tip no bet for me, try find something to beat him. What else wins?
That's the way I ended up in the end. So even with the blinkers coming off, some of his better form 12 months ago was without those shades on. So maybe that's a good gear change for him as well.
I found a case for Impossible Dream. Whilst the horse, probably doesn't win out of turn per se, he didn't trial before the first up effort to Shooting Spirit. He got home pretty well in that race at Belmont. Came here to Papavero Princess. That's that same race there once again, or same form line at least that Rocky Bay has. I'm thinking at $12, maybe it's a point of difference there at double figures in the race. If you don't like $1.60, no thank you. I
don't like $1.60, but I'm ended up with our Rocky Bay on top by process of elimination.
Yep.
I thought the effort first up of Famous Journey actually wasn't too bad. They went back on a horse that only has a one trick, and that is to race pretty tough up on the speed. They can go forward today. 5 from 1, 8 Impossible Dream. There's a few of Ray Vincement's that are going around with gaps between runs, but I wouldn't read anything into it. That was the hot meetings. He elected not to race his horses in the heat, so it's not like any of his have had a setback, even though they might be 4 or 5 weeks between outings. And 3 Bleecker Street comes back to 1,200 metres here, gets every chance from a low draw in a low race. 5, 1, 8, 3.
5, 3, 8 and 4, similar to Scott. Process of elimination, drops in class. Our Rocky Bay for me. From Bleecker Street, thought it was a tough effort last start, 3 deep cover, and pulled up lame afterwards. It was a previous Pinjarra winner. I thought was the danger to the favourite. Impossible Dream in for third for the reasons Scott and Mac have touched on. And I'll throw in Zangief. I think this horse is going well. Was a winner a couple of starts back, and watching the replay, never got a single crack at them last start, was held up the entire. I think's going better than reads on paper. 5, 3, 8 and 4.
Okay, it sounds to me, Matt, we might need to improve our quality of mayo after the first 3 races on the card. They're not strong, that is for sure and certain, so hopefully we've found the winner at the very least of them so far. I'm going to go 8. It's each way for me. Impossible Dream, $12 there. It probably garners a bit of appeal over our Rocky Bay. The price is anything but. And 3 Bleecker Street, 1 Famous Journey, 8, 5, 3 and 1.
So Scott has gone 5, our Rocky Bay, 183. So has Mick number 5 from 384. Darren has gone 8, Impossible Dream, 5, 3 and 1.
We might take a break at this point here on Inside Running. Scotty, you've got something coming through, have you there? Looking on intriguingly at your mobile device.
I was just going to show you something on the break, Mac.
Bit of late news. Oh, it's
cookie order.
A little bit of off-air banter.
Really? Quality of mayo?
No, it was actually just an updated forecast for next Wednesday. It's obviously depends on what app you're looking at, but the one I've just fired up says 40. Getting warmer and warmer.
Bomb says 38 when I had a look about 5 minutes ago, so can we stay with one?
Average amount, 39.
Let's not spook the crowd away just yet. We'll take this break and be back with more soon.
You're tuned into TAB Radio, Racing and Sport. Take TAB Radio wherever you go by listening on the Tab Touch app.
.6 minutes away from 9 on this Saturday morning. Provincial racing is the order of the day, and we're down at Pinjarra Park, of course, for the Mandurah Cup. Country Comfort Handicap destination for many coming from the country when they're staying in the metro area, close handy to Ascot Racecourse, and they sponsor race 4, 2,000 metres. Emergency runners aren't required there. 15, 16, 17 and 18. How does the market look in this race, the fourth?
The top one for your eyes is at $12 in from 18, 14 in from 23. Tiff's Lad, War Matters, 235 from 260, 650 out to 850. Abisi back into 8, 16 for Vancouver Storm. Zachariah Bowers at 12, 750 out to 11. Misintention, Blazing Kazar 23, 26 Desert Sleeve. Creasy's at 15, 18 Pagey's Turn. Scenic Eclipse 71. All about the cracks at 15 and 21. Run for Rob.
Well, Michael, if there's one horse I felt through the course of the meeting today that was absolutely beautifully placed to win one and bounce back, and that is Darren McAullif's War Matters, a horse who's fit, racing very, very well, and finds himself back into a 54 plus today with the right cred.
Yeah, 100%. Can't disagree. Higher grade the last 4 starts. Winner in a higher grade. Ran the fastest closing sectionals to Profit and Power last start. Start prior to that was beaten about a head by Rocking Society, who has since won again. Lovely drop in class. Should get a nice run. Rivals have been running in similar type of races. Well, I guess one concern would be the fact a horse like Misintention, who hasn't won in a little while, finished alongside him last start at 100 to 1. But just the overall strength of his form over the past few starts, and the fact he did run particularly strong late splits last time out, he clearly is the horse to beat.
I thought this was his race. I also think potentially one that gets under the guard is that going away from Ascot, as much as he was a winner 4 starts ago, might be a good thing for him. He just looks like one of those awkward moving types that might prefer a more forgiving Pinjarra corner as opposed to the sharp corner that he gets at Ascot. So 3 for me today. War Matters. I think the 2,000 metres is what he's been looking for as well. I think he becomes one of the better bets on today's program, War Matters. Race 4, number 3. Abisi got out of the ground late in a lowly Class 2 at Albany, but the senior rider goes on here. He should be starting to peak at his 5th run of the campaign. Misintention, if you like War Matters, you have to have at least respect for Misintention, and she's another one that seems to go really well here at Pinjarra Park, so the return to that particular track is a good thing for her. And Tiff's Lad, he's probably not racing as bad as what it might look. He went around 100 to 1 in the Grand Slam Cup, was only beaten 3, went around 100 to 1 last start, was beaten 5, but he gets out to a more suitable distance today and is a massive drop back in grade. So an improved performance expected out of Tiff's Lad. 3, 4, 7 and 2 at my end.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the better bet for the program now that another strike's come out, so we're going War Matters as our special for the program today. Do you agree, Michael, there, going with War Matters?
Yep, can't disagree with that. I had an asterisk next to him as well, but I actually going to give Creasy a little bit of a push for the placings. I was a sharp improver up to 2,200 last start. I know he hasn't won in a while, but this is Greg Kersley's first preparation with him, and he was probably a bit unlucky not to finish closer to Santa Bray last start when held up. Profiles really well. Track distance at the Pinjarra 2000, 5 starts for a win and 3 placings. Races really well over this distance, so happy enough to give him a push for second at $15. Misintention in for third. I touched on her before. Went around 100 to 1 last start, but ran really well. Only beaten 2 lengths. Races best at Pinjarra as well. And Abisi next best. 3, 10, 7 and 4. But War Matters, one of the better bets on the program.
It's unanimous with me as well. War Matters 3 is special. I'm going Misintention. At least she's won over 2,200 in a Class 3, so you know that at least she'll get the ground. And then I'm going to include one of those that you've mentioned in Creasy. Like you, I was taken with its most recent run behind Santa Bray, but hasn't won for close on 800 days. And the other one who gets back out to 2,000 metres today is Pagey's Turn. It might be worthy of throwing into the mix at longer odds there, just from a novelty point of view. 3, 7, 10 and 4, but we're all across War Matters there. We think it's the best bet for the program now, Matt.
Lots of asterisking. 3, 4, 7, 2 Scott, 3, 10, 7, 4 from Big Red, 3, 7, 10, 11 from Mac in the 4th. At the halfway mark, we go over to race 5 at 20 to 4. Stable Affairs handicap, a Class 3 with 10 out. First leg of the quaddie, the proper quaddie, over 1,200. Into 850, Uncle Jared. 750 for General Knowledge from Double Figures. 15 into 950, Butterfly House. 15 Capo Veloce on Plain Airs at 245 after hitting 440. Into 26 from 51, His Eminence. Lieutenant Dunbar at 12. 19 at Plato or Plomo. Toretto is at $9, down to 11. Cherry Can Run fixed at 11, and 18 just a midi.
Some pretty significant adjustments to the market after the scratching of Ain't So Bad.
Certainly was. The deductions through Ain't So Bad, 30 cents in the dollar.
And with that scratching, the speed comes out of the race. I really struggled to find a leader here. General Knowledge has a little bit of speed, but I wouldn't be surprised if On Plein Air rolled to the top. This preparation has been ridden a little bit off speed, but going back to previous campaigns, has the pace to be able to take up the running, Scott?
That's the way I thought. I thought that Brad Parnham could kick her out today and find a very soft lead.
Without any pressure whatsoever, stays in the same track, distance, grade as the last start win, and only rises 1.5 kilos.
Through the wrong side of the course first up on the straight 5 track there behind Go Grommet before coming out there and racing much handier and getting the job done in the same grade, of course, at its next run. So, look, I think you're absolutely spot on in your assessment of the map for the race. It's very, very hard to identify a horse who's going to take up that role. So it may well be left in the hands of a very, very capable front-running rider in Brad Parnham.
And that's my concern. I think I've tipped favourites the first 4 races. This is race number 5, but I've just really struggled to see how this race isn't run like that. I think Brad just strolls to the top, rates them, dictates terms, kicks, and with Uncle Jared likely to get back from the draw, Cherry Can Run likely to get back from the draw, Toretto probably a bit better suited over further in midfield. I think it's going to be On Plein Air's race to lose.
Have to agree with that, just because of the way that the map's unfolded here. On Plein Air looks like she's going to get every chance to kick and win again. Look, Uncle Jared is not an easy horse to catch whatsoever. He's not an easy horse to trust. He's not an easy horse to ride. But he's a last start winner in a Class 3. He trialled actually quite well, I thought. He was beaten 6 1/4, but the trial was actually a lot better than what that may look. I'm going to pop Uncle Jared in for second. 5 from 1, 3 Butterfly House. The 1,200 metres is the unknown with her. She's got a lot of straight 1,000 form, a lot of overall 1,000-metre form, but Dean White couldn't have her going any better. And watching the replay of the On Plein Air run, well, Cherry Can Run in behind was ducking and weaving through traffic. It's just today Jason Whiting probably has to take his medicine and go back in a race where On Plein Air is likely to get things cheap. 5, 1, 3 and 11. On Plein Air looked after the scratching of Ain't So Bad like she was mapped to win.
Yep, I agree. I saw things similarly. 5, 1, 9 and 11 On Plein Air for me from Uncle Jared. I agree. I thought the trial was quite good, and he ran back-to-back second placings in Saturday grade last preparation as well. Put Toretto in for third though, only a Class 1, still looks green but appears to have some ability, and I thought should get a nice run, midfield cover for Clint off the back of 2 trials. And Cherry Can Run hits the line strongly again and gets 1.5 kilos on Plein Air from last start. 5, 1, 9, 11.
Unanimous for me as well. I like the fact that this is a mare that's won 3 of 8, and her opposition very rarely win out of turn. If you're talking Uncle Jared, 1 in 14, and Cherry Can Run's 1 in over 17. So at least the scores on the board here with this Universal Ruler mare in On Plein Air. And she's my pick as well. From 11, Cherry Can Run. Agree with you, the zigging and zagging, but of course she's just one of those back markers and knows no other way, so she's a very, very one-dimensional type. Uncle Jared and 9 Toretto. So no surprises there, Matt, in race 5.
And number 5, 5, 1, 3 and 11 from Scott. 5, 1, 9, 11 from Mick. 5, 11, 1 and 9 from Darren. Now we go to the 6th race. At 4:18, Wignall's Wines, Class 1, 1,400. Scratchings are zip. 9 into 7, Millie's Clever 2. Lady Tremaine is at 20. 14, She's a Sheila. ZZ's at 7 in from 15. 21, Shaz Far, Special Heart 23. In a point to 9, Rivercrest Magic. Royal Splendours 7 in from 9. 26, Celebrity Icon. 260 into 245, Cosmic Spirit. 34, Henry Has Spoken. And Perfect Bubbles at 23.
Okay. Thought probably Cosmic Spirit would be shorter than what she is here in this race, given the way that she's come up this preparation with her effort first up to What's the Point, and then getting the job done down there in Albany. Did it very well. Maps beautifully this afternoon also. I was quite keen about Cosmic Spirit here in this particular race.
I'll say yes and no in terms of your assessment on thought that she would be shorter, only because some of the form around is probably fair, I would put it. I mean, obviously we came to Pinjarra on Boxing Day expecting that what's the point, we'd probably go to the 1800 and run them into the ground, but he got the wobbles late. But more importantly, on the Scarp side meeting on the same day, the one that she beat at Albany, Point of Conflict, got beaten 4 lengths in a maiden.
I get that. I do get that. But this is progressive, good pedigree. I don't think... Look, you got Millie's Clever too, who's drawn awkwardly with 60 on its back. ZZ, 1400 has to be a bit of a question mark from my point of view. You might make a little case for Royal Splendour potentially. You might have a look at Lady Tremaine, but it's at longer odds. And then where else do you go?
I think that's the bit of a theme of the day, is there are horses that... or there are races where the dangers don't look to be that threatening.
And it's almost a process of elimination, landing on the favourite. But I was happy enough.
Well, she's only had a couple of starts.
Yeah.
She's just very early on in her career, and she's had 2, and she's a winner, and she's been placed. And I still think What's the Point's a really talented horse in the making. I just felt that the 1800 was a bridge too far the other day.
Yeah, I agree with that as well regarding the 1800. But after tipping the first 5 favourites, I'll go each way here with Millie's Clever 2. Won 3 starts ago, drew barrier 14, 2 starts back and hit the line really well. And then last start ran third to Romeo, who was somewhat strangely plunged in that Saturday race last week and ran well, ran third, but was 9 into $3 or $2.90 in a Saturday 66 plus and performed well. So I think that's a nice enough form reference. Stays in a class 1 and there'll be a 3 wide line for this horse to blend into. So at $7, I'll go each way. 1, 10, 8 and 4. Millie's Clever 2 from the favourite Cosmic Spirit, only coming out of an Albany maiden, but like Scott, just that Point of Conflict form. I'm not convinced on that now, and but I do agree that she's one soft and there's more upside than the rivals. Royal Splendour in for third, drops from a class 3 back to a class 1. Really good form lines as well. Cashel Palace, Belter of a Song, Romeo, etc. this prep, but is 1 from 17. That's the concern. And ZZ in for fourth. 1400 metres has to be a big query, but well weighted after the claim, and also comes through races like Sunlit Fresco, Duke of Wellington, who have both performed well since, and on plein air could frank the previous start even more. 1, 10, 8 and 4.
Okay, so a little bit of value there with Millie's Clever 2 for Big Red.
I'm going Cosmic Spirit, so I'm in your corner, Mac, but I thought that we might get a better price than what we're throwing up here. I thought she might be just a little bit easy late in betting Cosmic Spirit, because in the end she got out to $2.20 from $1.60 in that Albany maiden, so the punters were taking an easy view on her that day, and the one that she beat has been beaten since. So I thought we might potentially even sneak out closer towards $3 by the time that they jump. 4, ZZ, beat Fast Harry, who I've got an opinion of, then ran into Sunlit Fresco, who I think you have to have an opinion of. In fact, Tim Crosby obviously does. He goes to the Summer Scorcher with Sunlit Fresco, and then went around in a Class 3 last start, beaten by On Plein Air, who we're tipping in the previous. So I've got ZZ in as the danger. 1, Millie's Clever 2. They like to just ride her completely cold, so expect that she settles 12th of 12 and then finds her back to follow. And I'll throw in 12 in Perfect Bubbles. Can put in a shocking run every now and then. But, 2 back on Melbourne Cup Day, finished half a length off Cashel Palace, goes around at big prices. 10, 4, 1, 12.
Okay, 10 there for you. I'm with it as well. Cosmic Spirit. It's got a reasonable pedigree behind it, hasn't done much racing, and has got the score on the board and a nice gate to go with it. So 10 from... I'll put one of Ray Vincent's in once again. Royal Splendour. Didn't get the rub of the green second up. That followed its first up fourth behind the talented Cashel Palace. And ZZ, whilst I've got a big question mark at 1400, I think that she's going well enough to be very competitive here with Millie's Clever 2. 10, 8, 4 and 1. I think we've got all the numbers there for race 6.
10 from Scott, 4, 1, 12. Mick's gone 1, 10, 8 and 4. Darren is with 10, then 8 followed by 4 from 1.
Stay with us on this Saturday morning, folks. Great to have your company. We'll be back to take a look at the feature today. It's the $100,000 Barragup Self-Storage Mandurah Cup. We'll do it right after this break on Tab Radio. Get to the back end of the card at Pinjarra Park for racing on this Saturday, 9 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Janny and Madame Magic scratchings out of the feature event, and Papavero Princess Summer Dixon's mare, who's come up fabulously this campaign, will be out to make it 3 straight wins, and she's come up in, as I say, exceptional form at the moment there, the way that she's going, and she's announced herself as favourite for the Mandurah Cup.
And is at 225 at the top. Excel Train, together with Son of the Boss, both 650, then Heskett and Snazzler, both 20. Halatorians at 10, Brave Contender 51 with 7-8 out. Mama Tembu at 19, 3:10 into 225, Papavero Princess. 15 now for Dreamtime Jean and 13 into 6 for Invincible Power.
She is starting to realise her full potential this campaign. Papavero Princess Dynamite first up here on this course. Went to town in a 60+. And she delivered a brilliant win in very good time. Numbers were all exceptional there that day.
I love the way that she really savaged the line. When she hit overdrive for Stevie Parnham and he pulled the trigger, she put a gap on them really quickly, and she was holding Kalima to the line, who, while probably struggled to win this preparation, you know that Kalima's a decent enough 66+ barometer. And so she goes up in grade today. She drops a kilo. And the other thing that I thought was in Papavero Princess's favour is that they'll roll along here and give her a nice, genuine tempo to settle behind, because Dreamtime Jean will roll forward from an inside draw, but XL Train will come out humming from the middle of the line. And
what do you think of the money there for XL Train too? When Janny was in this race, XL Train, they absolutely gobbled up the $15.
I thought 15 was overs. I mean, last start, yes, he went to Albany and dominated a pretty moderate bunch.
Found the right race.
But prior to that, in a 72+, so high grade than this, he's only 2 lengths off Fast Flicker, who nearly beat the Boss Lady on Boxing Day. So I had no issues with the form of XL Train, and I'd just probably take the view that he doesn't get a mile. So some of his previous runs, he was good in defeat, but at the end of his distance range, I thought he was the danger. 10 for me, Papavero Princess, but I just love the way that she's accelerating at the minute and charging through the grades.
What about Son of the Boss at 1400, Michael?
Well, I've got him in as the main danger to Papavero Princess now, but I had Janny in for second. 1400 has to be a big query for mine. Doesn't look like he's really screaming out, but I still think he's going to get a lovely run. Probably lands one out, one back. He's raced in high grade his last 4 starts, and he's been around the market, all of them. He's a talented horse, but
he looks as though he's got a level of class. Would have loved to see this be 12 or 1300 metres. I thought he would have been right up to it for sure, but I've, like Scott, have been nothing but impressed with Papavero Princess. Her point-to-point speed, her acceleration, looks like a black type horse, a horse that should just continue on her way, build a picket fence, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her be lining up in some pretty nice races from what we've seen.
I remember interviewing Michael Poy when she was making her way through the real lower grades. I'm talking maidens, class 1s, and he always said that he was riding her forward because she was just better than them, but he always maintained that when she went up in grade and was able to find her feet, you'd see an even better mare.
Yeah, instinctive pattern is to settle back and just cool and then come. She's got a lovely turn of acceleration.
And today she can just be coiled up behind a genuine speed. 10, 1 XL Train, 2 Son of the Boss, 5 Halatorian. He's off 7 days, slides back a little bit in grade. Whether 1400 is really his go or not, we'll find out, but he is racing quite well. 10, 1, 2 and 5.
10, 2, 1 and 9 for me. With Janny scratching, I'll put Son of a Boss in as the danger to Papavero Princess. XL Train for third, and I'll elevate Mama Tembu. Came from last to be beaten a nose this exact race last year, and comes out of the Jungle Dawn behind the Boss Lady first up. 10, 2, 1, 9.
Okay, stablemate of Papavero Princess, who I'll be making unanimous with Scott and Michael as well. 10 on top clearly. XL Train gets down now, getting towards the bottom end of the market, in my view at the very least, but the race has dropped off with those scratchings. XL Train now into 650, and 2 Son of the Boss. I think he's got the ability, but whether 1400's the horse's wheelhouse is another question entirely. My little fluky hope maybe for a leg of your exotic is Snazzler, who returns today. Normally can pull out a bit of a run on the fresher side there, and it's 1 for 1 at 1400 metres as well. So maybe at longer odds, and we're looking around that $20 mark there to build up some value into the exotics. 10, 1, 2 and 4 there in the Mandurah Cup.
And 10 is Scott's tip, 1, 2 and 5. Mixed with 10, 2, 1, 9. Darren's gone 10, 1, 2 and 4. The final event on the program is a race 8 at 5:33, and with 9 out in the Tucky's Hardware Class 1, I'm Crafty is at 4:20. 15, the Hill Tribe. The King's Uncle is at 5.50 now. 14, Vergrey. Cash Flow at 7.50. $12, Kermit's Luck. 5.50, Sideshow. 20, Image of Pro. Down to Diamond Tipped at 13. Maximum Impact 16. Pro Portrait at 11. 61, Baywatch Boy. And Pilbara Song at 51.
Okay, potentially do we see 2 horses go to the line in the same combination of colours in the last of the day? Maroon, black and white. I'm Crafty, Cash Flow.
What do we make of...
Is it perceivable?
It's perceivable, for sure. What do we think of the I'm Crafty v the King's Uncle v Sideshow race last start behind Strictly Cash?
strange race, I thought.
It's probably one you'd take a level of trepidation in terms of as a form reference because of the fact that Strictly Cash won it at 40s.
It's a tip race for me only here, the last event. I've got no push whatsoever.
Well, I've played it relatively safe all day, and I had the lucky chip on top here, who I was pretty keen on an each-way basis, but I've cracked it now, so I'm going wide. And now with all these scratchings...
we don't like you when you crack it. Never ends well.
No, you're not wrong there. But Diamond Tipped, I thought was a super run last start. Has been missing the start, which has been really costly for him, but I think 1,400 metres is a tick, and I thought it was a really good run there at Bunbury on what's largely been an on-speed track. And you go through his form over the past couple of months, he's run some really good races, and I think mapping this race from the draw, I'm Crafty probably goes back, Cash Flow's mid to back, Sideshow's mid to back, the King's Uncle's probably mid. So I think Diamond Tipped, whilst he'll probably be last, I don't think he's going to be that far off his main dangers. And the way he's been finishing off his races, if he can jump cleanly, I think he's worth a throw at the stumps at $13.
Okay, there's no knock on anything that you want to tip in the last, by the way. No knock whatsoever.
Well, it's the King's Uncle for me. I'm watching the replay again behind Strictly Cash. I thought he was a better run than I'm Crafty. He got held up marginally at the point of the home corner from 3 back the fence, whereas I'm Crafty was 1-1 getting the run of the race. And today, from the barriers where they are, I thought the King's Uncle could turn the tables. So each way for me, 3 the King's Uncle, 1 I'm Crafty, 12 Pro Portrait, just a bit of a freshen up back to 1,400, drawn to get a soft run. The effort 2 back behind Petite Vitesse in the Millie's Clever 2 race was quite encouraging. And 11, My Fluker's Hope, is the long time former maiden in Maximum Impact, who's actually been battling along okay up at Geraldton and gets Sean O'Donnell on, the pickup ride king. 3, 1, 12 and 11.
Okay, well, it finishes up being very similar to you. I'm a bit in your corner with the King's Uncle. Not bullish, but I think the race probably maps okay there for him. I've got it ahead of I'm Crafty. I had concerns with the weight and the wide draw, of course. And Pro Portrait, like yourself there. And my other one, which I didn't think was that bad a run the other day, it comes off the back of a maiden win up in Geraldton, and it did beat a horse who can't win a race at the moment, Fire the Guard. But its next start was without favours, got caught wide there. It wasn't that bad. Reads worse than what the run was, I guess, overall. So without a huge push in the last, 3, 1, 12 and 5. Michael?
Yes, just a value play for me here. Diamond Tipped doesn't win out of turn, but I think he's going well, and if he jumps cleanly, he can surprise. 10, 1, 3 and 7. Diamond Tipped each way from I'm Crafty. Has a bit more upside than a lot of rivals. The King's Uncle's raced without luck, going well, and Sideshow, probably disappointing last start, but has always been hard in the market here and goes into the top 4 with the scratching of the lucky chip. 10, 1, 3, 7.
Scott with 3, the King's Uncle, 1, 12 and 11, mixed with 10 to beat 1, 3 and 7. Darren's gone 3, 1, 12 and 5 in the last. That's at 5:33. Mac, you've got time there to shoot across to Mandurah for me. I'll have the night off and I'll go wherever tomorrow for
you. What about I do the
sound?
first couple for you, mate? At least help you out.
Well, while you're there, you can just go on with it.
I've got other plans.
Preparing for Bunbury.
Not a team player.
Oh, no, that's right. Of course, I forgot. I'm not. I can't get there at all. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, cheers.
Best bets time. Best bet for the day is I won't be at Mandurah. There you go.
Neither. Race 7, number 10, Papavero Princess. I'll make the best.
Okay. Michael?
Race 4, number 3, War Matters. Race 7, number 10, Papavero Princess. And lay of the day, race 2 in Lunch in Paris.
Okay, then I'm going to make it race 4, number 3, War Matters, and then roll that into Papavero Princess. As close as I like Mandurah, by the way. I do. I've got some very good friends that live in Mandurah. I like going down there, and I don't mind doing a spot of crabbing down there.
Can't dig yourself out of this one now.
No, but what I'm going to say here is as close as I'll get today is calling the Mandurah Cup.
Is there a lay coming at the end of this speech?
Good. There is no... Oh, well, do you want a lay?
Oh,
lay of the day?
Big Red threw one out.
Go on.
I thought that's what you do these days.
Yeah,
look, it's holidays.
That is what we're doing.
Do we still do it, do we? Even without Digby?
In the last, Sideshow a tickie, $2.10.
Oh, aggressive.
Yeah, you've put yourself right out there, Scotty. Lay of the day.
That's how it works, Cobb.
I'm going to make it She's Perfection. Ooh. Show some strength.
What's the same price?
Yeah.
They're both $2.10.
Yeah. Sideshow's no good.
Thanks, boys.
Hey, see you down there. Who else is on board today?
No, you won't see me there today.
No, you're having a
Or
quad,
Mandurah.
are you?
I'll be there with Lockie and Tessa.
Okay. Oh, terrific. All right. The A team, with respect to you, Michael.
Yeah, cheers, Scott.
Yep. A
Who's
minus.
in the yard today? I've got no idea.
No yard today
I'm-
at Penny, I don't think, for Tab Radio.
No yard?
No
nothing?
yard. No
All right,
yard
mate.
at Penny. Metro only.
Okay, there you go. So I should have checked the roster to see what was happening there, but it's just a smorgasbord of racing at the moment. And well done to everybody too. I look around and you get to these meetings and even like our camera crew and the team that bring the pictures there, the early starts, the late finishes, the travel getting to some of the meetings. It's at the time of the year when everyone else is enjoying themselves and they're very festive, and there's a team of people that put their shoulder to the wheel, don't they, and they just go at it for days and days on end.
Most of the camera crew that work with us and the directors in the truck, they've been at Gloucester Park on Friday night.
They keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most familiar faces, Zynal, cameraman. He was at the tennis last night
Wow.
doing that. A little bit of cream on top.
The big fella. Okay, yeah, look, they should be commended too, because we get to work very closely with them. They are behind-the-scenes people in racing that bring us all of the pictures and the colour that you guys, of course, deliver from the yard, and they go about it unerringly with the work that they do. So good luck to them, and I know that there'll be quite a few of them looking to put their feet up in the next, couple of weeks at the very least, after the carnival has come to a conclusion with the Perth Cup on Wednesday, Michael.
Absolutely. Bring your sunscreen.
Yeah, looks as though it's going to be a pretty warm one, that is for sure. We'll keep a close watch on what's going to develop there in terms of that weather forecast. As we've been touching upon this morning, it was 37 yesterday. They're forecasting, 38 at the moment too, and that starts to get into talk territory as to what they're going to be doing next and what plans that they do have in store for Tab Touch Perth Cup Day. Anyway, more about that a little later on. We've got Pinjarra Park today, the running of the Mandurah Cup, and we'll be back about 15 minutes before the opening event on the card, which gets underway at 8 minutes after 1 o'clock from the team here on Inside Running. For now, a very good morning and back into the safe hands of Matty McDermott.